All right. Welcome back to our Simple Healthy Life podcast, where today I'm super excited to have someone I consider a friend.
Thank you.
Lorna Brunelle. She is a longtime Middleborough, lived in Middleborough.
Yeah.
Yep. She's the owner of Bertwood School, and she's someone that I got to meet through her school, and someone that's literally changing the lives of many, many kids.
Thank you.
For, is it 30 years now?
30 years. Yeah.
30
it's
years
our anniversary.
of helping younger people learn dance and art and music.
Singing and acting, drums, piano.
And I feel like that's just the beginning of what you do. How many books now?
3.
And the third one was a cookbook?
It was a cookbook, and I'm working on a healthy cookbook.
Okay.
So we'll see.
Was the first one not so healthy?
Oh, it has modifications on most of the recipes. I'll be like, and if you're low carbing, cut the pasta. If you're low carbing, cut the rice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. And now this, I think we've timed this perfectly because you've had a huge week.
I have. So this right here is a very recent little surgical site where my chemotherapy port lived. I named him Dennis when I got him in July. Over a year ago. I named him Dennis Port, chemo Port, and I took him to the Cape to Dennis Port several times during my treatment for colorectal cancer. And knock on wood, because I'm in remission and everything was clear, scans, blood work, visits, they decided it was time to take Dennis Port out. So
congratulations.
Thank you. He was evicted recently. And, I had such a love-hate relationship with Dennis when I first got him because I didn't share my diagnosis with anybody in the beginning. I own a couple small businesses in town, and my whole day in my career, every day is spent helping people lift up and be like a buoy. So it's really hard to do that when someone knows you have cancer, because then all of a sudden the conversation shifts, and I didn't want that to be the focus on our relationship with our work, helping people rise up. So it wasn't like I was hiding it. I just didn't want to put all the emphasis on that. I also wanted to come from a place of power and not a place of panic. So I thought it was better to get through most of the treatment and then share the information. So I was mad at Dennis initially because Dennis was in a spot where you could see him. So I had to modify my whole wardrobe and everything, because I was like, I just don't want this to be the focus on the work that I'm doing with kids, teens, and adults right now. And then I came to really love Dennis because he was giving me a vessel for life-sustaining medication. I'm in remission because of Dennis and because of mindset and because of Dana-Farber. But so it's a big week. And, I kind of missed Dennis when I went home. I was like, because you can feel a port underneath, when you're getting ready, when you're, adjusting your collar, it's like, oh, there's Dennis. And now I'm like, all right, guy, we had a good time together. Everyone's got a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And for us, it was just a reason and a little season. But here I am now.
Amazing.
Yeah, it is. It's crazy.
Right.
Yeah, this, I as I gotten to know you, there's so much to you that I understand not wanting to have something that just be what people think or see, or maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes total sense to me. I guess I never really thought about how I would handle something like that.
Well, because we work with kids too, you know what I mean? And that's such a scary word for children. And when I look back on how I handled it, once I started sharing the information, kids were like, well, hey, why didn't you tell us? And I was like, I always planned to share this with everybody, but I wanted to make sure that when I shared it, I understood it so well that I could help you understand it. And in the beginning, it's chaos when you're diagnosed. All of it's chaos. Even my staging was chaos, because the first hospital I went to said, oh, you're stage 3B, which is, hard. Stage 3B, you're going to need radiation, chemo, surgery, multiple surgeries. Your life's never going to be the same. And everything was like, wow, how can I break this down for a 10-year-old who's asking how I'm feeling with cancer? And then when I got a second opinion at Dana-Farber, after a bunch of tests, they were like, this is like stage 2. You don't need radiation. We're going to have 12 chemotherapy sessions over a year. We're going to go 6 sessions, surgery, 6 more sessions, ileostomy bag for 12 weeks. And that felt so much more manageable to me because it didn't feel like a death sentence. So I was like, okay, let me get through the first half of chemo and the first surgery, which was a year ago tomorrow.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, November 20th. And I'll never forget it because it was Thanksgiving week. And I was like, man, do I have a lot to be thankful for. Like, the word Thanksgiving had never meant so much to me. So got through that. And then I was accidentally outed by a reporter because I had to miss a meeting in my community. And I said on a town email, I'm so sorry to miss this really important meeting. I'm having surgery in Boston for colorectal cancer on the 20th of November. You know, may I send someone from the company in my place to the meeting? And when you say something like that on a town-wide email, it's fair game for everybody. And it wasn't malicious at all. It was like Lorna Brunelle couldn't be available for comment because she was having surgery in Boston for cancer. And I was like, oh, man. So that came out. That whole thing was sort of outed, if you will, right when I found out I was in remission. So I was like, oh, no sooner than the oncologist said, you can start believing that you're living in a cancer-free body. We've cut it all out. The chemotherapy literally left that tumor down to like dust.
Wow.
You know what I mean? It was literally just smashed down to nothing. They were taking out scar tissue basically from what was there. So I was like, okay, it's in the newspaper. It's online. I've been told I'm in remission. So I made a little video. It was like 90 seconds right near the Christmas tree because I decorated really early because I was in treatment. And I was like, hey, guys, it's the season of light and miracles. I'm in remission. You may have heard that I've been going through a little something. I did a thing, and I'm on the other side of it, and I wanted to come from a place of power and not panic. If you have any questions, I'm here. But the bottom line is get your screenings done. Get your colonoscopies, have your mammograms, get your blood work done, stay on top of it, and advocate. Merry Christmas. And it was so much different that way. I didn't want to have, like... No disrespect. I didn't want thoughts, prayers, and casseroles. I didn't want people just kind of... Of course, I wanted the prayers, right?
Yeah.
But I was really worried about people just... We have created our home is a very like open door, full of love. The table sits 16. Everyone's welcome. But during that time, when you're napping a lot and you're encouraged to nap and you're encouraged to just kind of take your days and your mornings really slowly and you've got a million appointments and you're dashing out to here and that, I just didn't want someone to show up with a lasagna and have me in such a rush that I would make them feel like that I didn't value the time they took to prepare a meal for me.
Sure.
And I also didn't want to have to tax my brain with scheduling stuff like that. I just wanted to keep it really clean, which is why I kept it off social media in the beginning.
Well done.
Thanks.
You know, I remind two things. One, I love the way you said that you can start to believe that you're living in a cancer-free body.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine what that must feel like
Yeah.
to go from the stage 3B diagnosis all the way through the process of getting to there.
Yeah. And if I can provide hope for folks who are in my shoes, the reason why they said 3B was because I had cancer 20 years ago. I had thyroid cancer. And the things that were highlighting on the scans in my liver, in my lungs, and on my adrenal glands looked very much like cancer. It was like walking and quacking like a duck, as they say, right? But without a deeper dive, we should never just assume that because somebody's already had cancer once and they were confirmed colorectal, that it's already metastasized to the places at the club where the guys go, which is lung and liver. And since some stuff lit up, that was all benign. You know, it can be a ball of veins. It can be just a benign nodule, you know what I mean? So it's important to hold on to hope and to not freak out, although that's easier said than done. Like, let's face it, when the first hospital told me I had 3B, I planned my funeral. I went on Amazon and I ordered the book, I'm Dead Now, It's Your Problem. And it's a worksheet where you can put like your checking account, you know, your information for your car note, who you want to have your jewelry, and you literally just write it out like a workbook. And taking that control during so much chaos was really important for me because I was like, okay, hey, if I just like drop dead, my family won't be burdened by what's happening. They know exactly what I need. So yeah, it's all crazy, but it comes down to mindset. And if I may, I talk a lot because I'm Italian.
Please.
The oncologist still says to this day, I just went back 2 weeks ago, they still say out of all the people that we've seen and treated and become, you know, very familiar with, we still refer to your mindset as really key here. Because I was shifting so much information and there was so much flex involved. Like, okay, am I 3B? Okay, I'm 2. But it's still have to have I still have to have a bag, and I have to lose a lot of work, and I have to stay away from people because I'm immune compromised because I'm in chemotherapy. Like, it's a big flex. There's a lot coming at you. And for me, I had to like buckle down and say, all of these treatments at Dana-Farber are a spa on Newberry Street, and I'm getting a vitamin B12 infusion. And I'm with friends. I was always with either friends or my husband, and I'd wear bright colors to chemo. Like, I'd get really dressed up as if I was going out for a day trip to a spa with a friend. I'd wear red or orange and lots of like wonderful aromatherapy oils. And I looked at it with a place of gratitude. Every morning I'd have a ritual of gratitude as we get ready to go to chemo. Like, I can't believe I live in a part of the country with the best doctors, with health insurance that's allowing me to have this vitamin B12 infusion, in a body that's so open and willing to receive this care so that I can be on the other side of it, tell my story, and as they say, have it be a blueprint for other people going through it in the future. Rituals of purpose are really important to me. So the days leading up to chemo, I would have fun selecting ingredients to make the chemo nurses and oncologists treats. So I'd make like gluten-free Almond Joy cookies or something seasonal, apple something this, cranberry that. And it was fun for me to look forward to wrapping it beautifully and writing cards of gratitude so that during every infusion there were treats. For everyone from the valet parking team to the blood lab team to the nurses to the doctors. And that was fun for me because I was like, oh, I can give back even during this time when I feel like I don't have any control other than what my mind can do with what we're working on together to heal what's in me. And I also never use language like my cancer or, stuff like that. I was always like disassociated, like, no, this is my body. And there's a very small section of it, smaller than, they said, a piece of gum that was on a sidewalk that had been stepped on. That's how small the tumor was. But it's still stage 2. I was like, out of my entire body from head to toe, this little baby section needs support right now. And if I have the right mindset, I can bang that out with the tools from Dana-Farber. So mindset, still. The chemo nurse that I loved wrote me a letter after the final chemo. She sent it to the house, and she was like, your mindset impacted all of us. You know what I mean? Because it's a heavy job, man. My mom worked for hospice when she was alive, and like, that's hard.
Yeah.
Chemo, oncology, like, right? And she was like, it just felt like a ray of sunshine. And then funny story, so I'd always wear these really brightly colored dresses, and you need V-necks when you're in chemo because it's this whole setup for the whole day. It's like a big thing. And I went home on chemo for 48 hours each time I had chemo, and I slept with chemo in my bed. It was like a wacky thing. But so you need V-necks. So I jumped on Amazon and I got like really affordable dresses in this company called Venus, like $20 dresses with these necklines to accommodate chemo. And the nurses were like, wait, that looks so cozy. Like, where did you get it? And I'd be like, oh, Venus girl, right? And then they'd take my phone and pass it around and buy the dress that I was wearing. So honest and true. And then I'd go back the following 2 weeks and they'd be like, hey, I got the dress. And I just went, just like 2 weeks ago. No, this is like a year after because I finished chemo in May. And they were like, hey, Venus girl, I'm still loving my dress. I'm like, Venus girl? That might be my next book title. Like, I'll take it. So mindset.
Wow. That's incredible. Yeah.
Thanks.
I mean, it's incredible too that it was the second time just recently, and you kind of went through that, and it's I think very clear to me and anyone listening too that you're very sociable, and I mean, chemo kind of drains you in some way, and we had a recent talk on loss of identity, and so part of you probably, and I'm kind of assuming, but I think it's a fair assumption, is that you're very social. You get out there, you make connections. You're very much a connector.
Yeah.
But that must have been hard to kind of lose that energy to connect.
And that's where the food piece comes in, which is hard with colorectal specifically because in many cases they're taking your body parts, right? They're taking parts of your body, cutting out the bad stuff and then reconnecting it and then sending you on your way for 12 weeks or longer for everything to heal. And while that's happening, you're bypassed by an ileostomy in many cases. And that has a whole host of nutritional limits. Like you're supposed to have a lot of bread and rice and pretzels and different things that bind your food so that it's better for you, for the apparatus. And I normally pull energy from food like high protein veggies, cruciferous veggies, because I'm very like liver health conscious. So my whole routine prior to that, I had lost 100 pounds on keto and exercise. And I used to make this big vat. You may have seen it on social media. It was like this big, amazing veggie soup with cabbage and cauliflower and broccoli. And I'd make it every Sunday and every veggie I could fit in there. And then I'd just eat that before every meal with apple cider vinegar and olive oil for those polyphenols. And I'd like get really full on that and then start with protein and work my way toward whatever carb. Maybe it would be like a little piece of like a sweet potato. But I couldn't do any of that when I was with the ileostomy bag because it's like a huge no-no to have all that stuff. So I was pulling energy through my mindset that I would normally pull through food as fuel. Normally I would I used to say to friends, I'm at 130 grams of protein already. And they're like, how? That's insane. I think we've even talked about that too. And then I couldn't have, I love the Only What You Need protein drinks. Yeah. They're plant-based. And I'd usually have those, once or twice a day. And I couldn't have any of that either when I was recovering from the first surgery. So I'd pull, and you can't exercise a lot when you're recovering from that surgery either. You can't do any weight training. You can't go up and down stairs a lot. There's a lot of risks involved with hernia because you have something called a stoma. So it's like, oh my gosh, I'm in chemo. I have an ileostomy. I'm at risk for a hernia. I can't eat the foods that I normally pull my energy from. I can't go to work where all my friends are, where I pull my energy from, because I'm at such high risk for RSV, COVID, flu A, flu B. That was all happening when I was in the middle of, this is November 20th to February 6th. That was my time frame with my ileostomy. And I was like, the last thing I need right now is RSV or COVID. And I work with kids. Right. So I was isolated, couldn't eat the food that I loved, couldn't exercise, which is like my therapy to the extent that I would exercise normally, and so tired. Yeah. So you go back to mindset, right? So I'm journaling. Look at the progress I've made so far. What can I focus on that I am in charge of, that I am proud of, that gives me purpose? Baking was one of my biggest things. How do I keep my mind straight? I'd bake because I could stand and bake and use my hands and be creative and make things beautiful, and then either ask friends to drop them off and deliver them to friends, or I would drop them off at someone's doorstep with a little note and then say, you're the one in treatment and you're the one dropping goodies. And I was like, hey, I need purpose. You're actually helping me by giving me something to look forward to. And I found that same purpose when I wrote a cookbook during the pandemic. Because, again, I was isolated. We were all, my business was closed. We were all at home. There wasn't much to do. What can you do in the midst of the chaos that brings you joy? Write a cookbook. So to answer your question, it all came down to mindset. Again, like you said, chemo is exhausting. And I did really well. Like the first 6 chemotherapy sessions, infusions, spa appointments, I would go to work. So I wouldn't go to work on the day of chemo. The day after chemo, I'd usually stay home. But I did go to work all the way through November 20th. So from July to November 20th, I had 6 chemotherapy sessions. But the second end of it, which was after surgery and then a reversal of surgery on the 6th of February, I had more chemotherapy. And that's when I was like, no, man, we're in the midst of all the little germs and bugs that are flying around. I'm going to stay home. And then, just to have a plot twist, I had a bilateral pulmonary embolism on March 26th because of chemo, surgery, chemo. Also, I went from moving 7 days a week like a machine, swimming, walking, weights. I was, at least a 45-minute workout a day. Now I'm just sitting around because I have a stoma and I have this ileostomy, and I cannot have a situation with a hernia. Following all the orders at my house, the nurse had signed off saying, you're dismissed from visiting nurses. You're awesome. You're doing great. You're doing great. I'm like, okay, cool. Hand to God, she had just left 2 hours prior. I was bending over to put dishes in the dishwasher, and I stood up, and I was like, whew, oh, my God, I have hypoglycemia. It's really hard to eat right now. around Easter time. So I had little bowls of candy. I'm like, grab a little egg thingy. Your sugar's really low. That's got to be this. And then I'm like, whoop, nope, wow, something is wrong, man. Okay, go sit down, because like everything was closing in. I'm like sweating. I got to a chair and I had my phone. I'm like, call 911, call 911. I couldn't see to dial out. But the last person who texted me was my husband, so he was right on the screen. So I texted and was like, voice to text. Nope, can I connect the text? Hey, call 911. I'm having a dehydration cardiac episode, or I'm hypoglycemic bottoming out. Something's wrong. And he was like, what? And I'm like, I'm blacking out. Like, it's happening. I'm crashing. And then I blacked out. And he called my sisters who live on the same street, my friend who's a nurse, Stephanie Fuller, she works in Boston. And then I just was like waking up, EMTs all around me. Stephanie's in my bed, directing the EMTs. And they kept saying, oh, this is like, classic. She's been through a lot, you know what I mean? She's in chemo. She just had a bag reversal. She's not eating a lot. She's bottoming out, and Stephanie kept saying, I think she's having a pulmonary embolism. And I was. So wow. I know. So I went right here to Plymouth, to Beth Israel, and they were like, darling, there are so many clots in your chest, we have to send you to Boston right now because we can't get this under control. We don't have the stuff. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. You've got to be kidding me. And we were laughing about it, honestly. And then as the doctor continued to talk to me, I was like, oh, wait, this isn't funny at all. Like, I didn't know anything about clots. I'm just going to tell you, I've written 2 books, one on thyroid cancer, one on breast cancer, and I know a little about a lot with medical. I was a patient advocate in Boston for years. I've collaborated with doctors for 20 years in symposiums and conventions and published articles and the World Thyroid Congress I was at it. You know what I mean? Like, I know a little about a lot. But I was like, oh, no, man, this is bad. Because the doctor was like, this is pretty grave. Yeah. And then I went to Brigham, and they sucked out all the clots. And you have to see a photo of it to believe it. Because they show the photo, and anyone who's seen the photo, who's asked me permission to see the photo, share the photo, everyone looks at it and says, oh, my gosh, when did your friend pass away? We've never seen anyone live with that. We've never seen anyone make it through that. How on earth was she operating and functioning? So then a bunch of doctors kept coming in because it's a teaching school. What were your symptoms? Nothing. Were you really tired? I'm like, I don't know. I was in chemo. Like, I didn't have a ton of energy, but I wasn't sleeping all day. Were you in pain? I'm like, nope. Actually, wait. That morning I woke up and my left calf, when I touched the floor with my leg, I was like, oh, my calves are tight. Go eat a banana or have an avocado. You need some potassium because you're not eating a lot. I mean, I was probably down to like 400 calories a day post-reversal because it's really hard to eat in the beginning. Anyway, long story short, that little pain in my calf was the clot like giving way to move up and migrate. But the picture is wicked cool. I know that sounds crazy because it's a teaching school, so they line it all up and you get to see it. And I was like, they line it up where exactly they find the clots in like a graph that looks like your lungs and your chest. I'll show you it after. Maybe you can. Yeah.
We can put it up there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really something. And I'm actually really proud of it. I know this sounds weird, but I'm like, look at what your body can do.
Yeah.
Look at what your body can overcome if your brain and your mind are on the same page. If you've been reducing inflammation for the year prior, before my diagnosis, I had lost 100 pounds the old-fashioned way. Diet, exercise, supplements, wellness, sunlight, vitamin D, resetting the vagus nerve, rhythms of light, all of it. So I feel like my body was like, we've got this. Wow. And when you look at the picture of the clots, if ever there was a testimony to what mindset, purpose, what all of it is, once it aligns, it's like, okay, you can do it. That's not to say people who don't survive a clot aren't in the right mindset by any means. I just look at it as a badge of honor for how far I've come and what I'm capable of. And it's also reminded me of what my higher purpose is, what my higher calling is, whatever it is that you believe, universe, God, whatever, right? My work isn't done. There's no way you survive that without having this calling. And it's like, okay, so what's next? Sharing the story, encouraging people to get screened, writing that next book about this, talking openly about it. Once I finally said, hey, the EMTs who helped me, one of them was a Birtwood dad. That's the name of my company. It's a performing arts school I've owned for 30 years. And I looked at him and I said, Joe Gallant, I have permission to share his name. He gave me that on social media. I'm like, what's going on, Joe? And he was so sweet. And it was so awesome to see someone that you know. And he's like, we've got you. Like, we've got you, you know? And I looked up at him and I'm like, you know, don't let me die. You know, because I kept waking up and I'm like, what is this, you know? And he was like, no, you're not going to die on our watch. And I think about that a lot lately because it's like, okay, so then if I'm still here, what's it about? What's it all about? And I shared that on social media, and I had 5 million views when I shared it. Wow. I said, I had a bilateral pulmonary embolism. If you don't know what that is, it's a clot. It's a clotting episode that's so epic because, like, go big or go home, right? No one knows how I'm still alive. So here are some things to talk about post-op. How frequently can I get up and walk? Am I really supposed to be napping all this time? Is this particular dose of Lovenox, which is an injection to thin the blood 20 days post-op, is that enough? Should it be twice a day? Should it be for 40 days? Am I covered? Is there a way for us to be checking in to know whether or not I'm presenting with symptoms? How can we prevent this from happening? And I had over 40 people send me private notes saying they lost relatives post-operatively, even from shoulder surgery, because they weren't listening to the body. And they remember them saying, my dad was like, I was so tired. I'm so tired. I'm so tired. Post-op, you are tired, but then it's like, it's a different kind of tired when you have a clot coming on. It's like, you got to listen to your body. If you're sweating a lot, if you have labored breathing, if you're exhausted, if you have leg pain, you've got to talk to your doctor. It's very common after surgery for this to happen. It's just not so common to not recognize it at all and plow through it and find out that there's a photo completely covered in clots. But I don't do anything small.
No, you don't. No, you don't. Yeah. You've used the term chaos and control a lot.
Yeah.
And when I see you hosting your events or when I come to your school for any of the number of things that you do there, it can appear to be chaotic.
Yeah.
But you never seem out of control.
That's such an awesome thing to say.
I mean,
thank you.
Is it the sip and stroll? You do like how many?
Yep.
How many of those do you do a year?
So we usually do 6 or 7, but in 2026 we're going to have 10.
So you do 6 or 7 of those, and there's, what is there, 70 to 100 vendors there? How many?
There's usually 125 to 135 vendors.
Wow, I totally grossly underestimated that. I just get to walk through.
No, it's hard to tell because it's, just this pretty Norman Rockwell setting on a lawn, so no one ever counts the booths. And each vendor is sharing something that means a lot to them, that they want to share with the public, from pottery to soap to whatever they've made and they want to share. And then we have food trucks and the bartending service, and it's just a whole vibe.
Yeah.
But for me, it's a community engagement opportunity to bring everybody together, all different ages. Dogs are always there. You're always there, which is awesome. A lot of just community stakeholders are showing up and saying, like, hey, I care about the arts and culture. I care about scholarship. It's a scholarship event. And it is chaotic, and it takes months to prepare. But then when it happens, when it's running, you're like, I've already done the work. Now I can just literally sit back and be like, man, this is a vibe. Great job, everybody. We did it, So that's how I try to look at it. And I also come from a place of gratitude again. So I'll have those rituals of gratitude before all of those big events where I'm like, literally give me the strength to defuse any of the chaos that happens, because vendors are artists, and artists are sharing something so personal. And there's a lot of energy that comes with that as you're setting up, and it usually presents in the form of high anxiety. And the whole mental health piece to, like, am I good enough to share this? Will people want what I have to share? Will the exchange be positive? You know what I mean? Are people going to try to haggle me down on my piece of pottery? So there's a lot of stuff to think about. And inevitably, like that first hour, there's a moment where everyone's like, they just have to take a breath collectively. And then when everyone's there and the music's going and everyone's happy and cool and chill, it's so worth it. But yeah, so I appreciate you saying that. I think that comes from the mindset of gratitude. No matter what happens today, we did it. We have an incredible team. We worked really hard, and it's happening. It's here. So I'm grateful for that. Anything else that happens after the that's coming my way, I can shield it and stay open because I know that we've worked really hard to make everything happen the right way. So if it rains or a gust of wind comes through, I said it the last one, you were there. It was really windy. And I'm like, hold on to your tents. We were like 30 pounds of weight per tent leg, as per the fire department. And then I'd be like, guys, hold the tent. Mother Nature's having a contraction. Hold your tents. And good. And then by the time we were open to the public, the wind had subsided, which was awesome. But yeah, those events are cool.
They are.
I'm actually having one literally 2 miles away in Kingston pretty soon.
Yes,
in the mall.
I think I saw that on social media.
Yep.
One more question, and then I'll let Ryan talk. But
sure.
You are also very intimately connected to Miss Massachusetts, is that right?
Yes, yeah.
I see the stuff there. So tell me a little bit about that.
Sure. I'm so glad you brought that up. So I grew up in a household that was rich on love and really very lean on financial resources. And opportunities, extracurricular opportunities were really hard for us. So I did everything for free, like church choir, school plays, Girl Scouts. I would never have been able to train at a school or horseback ride or anything like that. It simply wasn't in the budget. My mom had 3 kids, and that's totally cool. But it was important for me to want to be able to give back and to be able to do that. So that's what Sip and Stroll is, by the way. It's a scholarship event to help kids study in the arts. Mm-hmm. But the Miss America organization is the largest scholarship organization in the world for young women. Wow. $45 million a year. So the girls that I'm training are training to be Miss Massachusetts or Miss Taunton or Miss South Coast or all these things so that they can get a chance to go to Miss Massachusetts and they can get a chance to win that and go to Miss America. And along their journey, along the way, they're winning money even when they're losing, which is kind of a fun thing for us to say. Because when you're first runner-up in some locals, you're still winning $3,500. Awesome. When you're winning, sometimes you're winning $5,000, depending on if it's Miss Taunton or Miss New Bedford or Miss Boston. So there's a lot of scholarship money to be had. And there is something called the Points of the Crown, which is the actual little points, the scholarship success style, and service. So the community service piece speaks to me because in order to be a representative of Miss America organization, you have to have a community service initiative platform that engages you with your community, whether it's Relay for Life or something advocating for kids who are neurodivergent or anything that's near and dear to your heart. Some of the girls actually create their own platforms. They're called CSIs, Community Service Initiative. Here's an example of what that means. For 30 years, we've sung for free as volunteers for every veterans event in Middleborough, whether it's the Memorial Day event, the Veterans Day event, the flag retirements, the Vietnam Moving Wall. We're there singing and showing up and helping for free. Going to nursing homes and singing, sharing our gifts. And it's not just singing, it's everything. It's helping out. They're at Sip and Stroll, giving all the booth vendors a break so that they can hit a food truck or they'll hit the food truck for them. So that's why I'm part of that organization. There's a huge misconception that it exploits women or that, it's demeaning, and to the opposite, they've gotten rid of the swimsuit section. The competition of swimsuit is gone. The interview is like kind of the most important part. So you're up there, it's like a TED Talk. You're sharing what's going on. They have something called a her story. So if you have an unconventional talent, if you didn't grow up playing piano or dancing, because in my case, we couldn't afford all that. Right. You can stand up and literally tell a story for 90 seconds. It's called a her story. And to me, after all these years, I'm an official sponsor of Miss America. I'm pulled in by the opportunity for women to tell their story, get money for college, engage with the community. And these girls and young women, 14 of my former clients are on the air as anchor women across the country. Over 10 of them are attorneys. Countless girls are in education. They're entrepreneurs. They're business owners. They're gurus in their field. And it's one of the things that I'm the most proud of.
Could you imagine the opportunity to be a younger person and have the opportunity to be mentored by someone that we just started with going through something that most people, that is one of the toughest things you can even comprehend, and the way you handled it and went through it. Can you imagine having the opportunity to be mentored by someone like that?
Yeah, incredible. And I mean, a lot of the language you use is very interesting too. And I think, obviously you have like such great community involvement. But you said something very, and I'm going to kind of like bring it back to that, because all of that is super important, and we only have so much time. But this was very compelling to me. You said rituals of gratitude at one point, but then you also said at another time rituals of purpose.
Yes,
and that to me is compelling, because I'm so big, and we talk about it all the time. Like, purpose is so meaningful.
Right.
I've worked with, I work with people who are really like mentally dysregulated, and some of those folks, like severe anorexia, say, or like severe binge eating, or whatever it might be, they'll go through treatment for years and years and years and years, and totally resistant to that. Yet it could be one thing, one little small hobby that then gives them enough purpose to recover.
Yes.
And it really is the most important thing, is finding some purpose. And obviously you're very big on that. So tell me more. Rituals of purpose. What do we mean?
So for me, it's writing, journaling, baking, using my hands in the kitchen, and then sharing what I've created with somebody who I think needs a little lift. So like I said, making 4 dozen cookies or a bunch of cakes, like 8 cakes, and then writing notes to people that I appreciate or that I might not even know very well, but who have made an impact on me through social media or through the news or something, and then sending it to their home, mailing it to their house, dropping it off, and following through with, I'm grateful for what you're bringing to the table. This really connected with me. Thank you for ... And even sharing, this is after my mom died. I've written a book about her called The Bowie Projects. I wanted her legacy and story to have life. So she had so much costume jewelry. She loved the Christmas tree shop. And I remember taking dozens of pairs of earrings and writing notes to people that were kind to her, or writing a note to somebody who just needed a little reminder that everything was going to be okay, and sharing a piece of my mom's costume jewelry. There's like $2 starfish earrings, but then dropping them off. So rituals of purpose. I also needed to know that I could still jump on Zoom and be connected to the world. So to be able to get dressed and brush my hair and jump on a Zoom with a client in the Miss America organization, or a student, and sing a song for a college audition, or train a kid in interview who was interviewing at BP or a trade school. I do a lot of that. That was important for me too, because I was like, okay, I shared my gifts in a different format. I'm not in person because I can't risk getting sick right now, but I'm still connecting. I'm still sharing my gifts. I'm still sharing what I can bring to the world, and I'm leaving something better than I found it when I go to bed tonight, whether it be through baked goods, something that I wrote and posted, a video. Hey guys, it's me. This is what's on my mind right now. Posting it and engaging. And it doesn't have to be a massive audience. It's just the ability to say, like, I've stayed alive another day, and this is what I'm going to do with this extra time that I was granted after a bilateral pulmonary embolism and 2 brushes with cancer. And reminding people of their worth gave me worth. So it was like, maybe part of my purpose is to be a mirror and to show folks who are struggling that they can make it. I find in the addiction recovery world, purpose is also super important. My family's been very connected to addiction recovery. And just like you said, the hobby or a recurring activity that they can engage in, or that we can engage in. I mean, if you're not feeling well, for me, like if I wake up and I'm really blue about something, or I'm like, oh my gosh, to be really transparent, I have scans again in January. That's scary. I have a colonoscopy on Monday. It's my first one since I was diagnosed. That's scary. So what have I done all week? I have baked my hands off. There are cookies everywhere. I've been dropping off stuff all week. And that keeps my mind busy. It lets me see something that I've created with the hands that were spared. And not to sound corny, but that's really it. I'm like, this is what I can do with my life and my body. I can share my story. I can journal. I can write. I can bake. I can help a child. I can help a teenager. I can help a friend. I can plan for the future. I can manifest. I can figure out a way for all of this to have meaning, you know?
Wow. What do you say to someone who, is struggling with that? Like, they don't see the utility in baking, say, that just doesn't seem worth it to them.
So this just happened 2 weeks ago. A girl who I haven't seen in 20 years reached out to me and said, I'm struggling. Will you meet me at Coffee Milano? And we were there. We sat for like an hour, and she was very, very open with me about struggling, and has a therapist and is on medication and is trying to find purpose. The holidays are hard. And we just chatted about she's like, I want to know your literal daily routine. Like, start from the beginning. And I was like, okay, really? I open my eyes and I start with gratitude immediately. I'm grateful for my bed. I'm grateful for my clothing. I'm grateful for the covers on my body. I'm grateful for the turkeys that are annoying me outside, literally. It's like, I'm grateful that I can hear them because I have the ability to hear. I'm grateful for how cold it is, even though the season's changing, because I can feel the temperature. Like, I'm grateful for all of it. So I go through all of this. And it's not structured. It's just where I am in the morning. It's not like I follow a program. Sure. I know a lot of friends that follow programs on their phone. They listen to them and they go through them, which is great, like guided meditation and stuff. So I start with gratitude, and then I wait a little while to get on the phone. I resist that as long as I can, and then I start working. Because in my line of work, I really have to get connected in the morning before people are putting their kids on the bus, and then I connect with them again at night before they're putting, themselves to bed. So then I'll connect and promote whatever I'm working on that's creative. And to me, that's also a ritual of gratitude, because I get to say there's a band that's going to be playing. There's a show with 145 artists. There's an opportunity for you to take this class with you, like this wellness workshop. Like, I get to promote great stuff. I don't post anything negative, by the way. So that time while I'm working on social media is still part of my extension of gratitude. Then from there, I exercise. I'm still in the fast. I try to fast as often as I can, so I start exercising, whether it's walking. Usually it's swimming. I will swim from April to November in my yard because we heat it. And to me, that's a small luxury to pay for the wellness that it gives me. It's literally like, it's just phenomenal for me. And then I'll exercise, and then I'll break my fast. And I consider the food preparation part of my gratitude, and it's part of my ritual of gratitude and purpose, because I'm making something that's really good for me, that's going to feed my body, that's medicine. And that doesn't mean I never eat sugar. That doesn't mean I never eat carbs. It's whatever I'm prepping. I'm like, this is fuel for my body to do its job and to be able to be a voice and be a vessel for people, be a vessel of hope or a beacon of light. And I really mean that, because when you survive cancer twice and all the other, the hard things, I've buried someone to addiction. I lost my mom to cancer. There's a lot of the road is just like, oh my gosh, when is the sun going to shine again? So I feel like we have to create our own Mother Nature thing. Like, we have to be like, okay, we're going to make it shine with gratitude, with purpose. And that's what I said at Coffee Milano. We went through the day, and she was like, wait, you really feel that way when you're making your breakfast? And I'm like, I do. I feel grateful for the eggs from my cousin's farm. I feel grateful for the pan that I'm making the food in, for the house that I'm in. I grew up with food insecurity. I grew up without oil in the tank. Like, we were broke, you know what I mean? And I've never lost sight of that. Like, it's all a blessing. So you have to weigh it out, right? Okay, yes, I've had cancer, but I have a home. Yes, I had a bilateral pulmonary embolism, but my body is still working to maintain remission. And then all the way through bedtime, all the way up until it's bedtime, I'm like, okay, I'm grateful for this today. Even the person that was really hard to deal with, I'm grateful for it, because it was an exercise for me to be like, hey, you can do this. We were just talking about that, right? You can do it. I'm grateful for all of it, because it's a lesson. It's a master class from the universe on what we can endure, sustain, learn from, and apply. And to me, it's the application that I'm putting back into the universe that matters the most, because I can still have influence even when the stuff is really, really tricky. You know what I mean? Like, okay, if someone's looking to me and saying, you had so much grace during that, how did you find the grace? And in some ways it's faith-based too, and I don't mean a religion necessarily. I just have faith in the fact that if I'm brought to it, I'm going to get through it. And even if that means it's the end of the road. I just buried 3 friends in 9 days this week. One of them was a huge sponsor at the Birtwood School, Lorna Brunelle, and a lifelong friend of 30 years. And she had so much grace. Cancer survivor on my end, someone who had cancer, who crossed over on her end, right? Different ends of the spectrum here, but grace in both of our days, grace in how we approached it together. I'm not afraid of that part of my journey because there's purpose leading up to it, there is gratitude leading up to it, and there's lessons in all of it. I don't even know if I answered your question, but that's how I go through every day.
No, it's perfect. I was just enjoying hearing your perspective, and yeah, I think the spiritual toolbox is very helpful for people. You're right; it doesn't have to be like religious per se, but
with me, it's nature.
Yeah. Something appears to be happening here. There's something going on.
I agree. And, hawks and nature and turkey feathers. And my friend Maureen Hancock is a very well-known medium in the area. And, she'll always say, it's a dragonfly. You can find this piece in a cardinal. You can find this piece in a deer that's coming up to the house. Since my friend Denise passed, there have been deer coming up to her deck and porch daily. I connect with spirit through deer too, and I'm like, these are signs, right? Yeah. And I'm not even going to use language like heaven or God or whatever. These are signs from the universe saying like, we're validating what you're thinking, what you're feeling. I've had dragonflies follow me and land on me and literally be like on a part of my car every single day when I go outside, and I'm like, oh, hey, Mom, like, what's up? I can do this, Lately it's been ladybugs too. And like, what's the harm in finding hope and calm, like energy through nature? Like,
right, sure.
I'm invested in it. Like, I believe in it.
Well, I mean, if a dragonfly reminds you of your mom or an animal of love, what's the difference?
Right.
What's the difference if it initiates that memory to begin with?
Right. And if it's like calming down everything, like I think a lot about cortisol. I've lost a lot of weight. I used to have this big round puffy cortisol face, and during that phase of my life, I was stressed out, like cortisol, right? My mom had just died. My stepson died of a heroin overdose 9 weeks apart. Hard time. And when I look at what I looked like 2 years after that, 3 years after that, it was like, oh, girl. And then you see that. And luckily enough, I had the strength to kind of pull myself out of that and make those changes. But it took a while. It wasn't like, oh, I'm just going to give up sugar. Oh, I'm just going to start exercising 7 days a week. I'm not pretending that that's easy. I'm just saying that once you jump in, the benefits are so powerful. I started to think, what took me so long, man? Like, how could I do this without exercise now? How can I do this without food that fuels me? How can I do this without rituals of gratitude and purpose? For me, it's like the secret sauce.
Sure. Yeah, you don't know how good you can feel until you start feeling good.
Yeah.
And then you want more of it, so you do more.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I'm just keep being blown away because, like, the way I introduced you is someone that has been such a mentor for so many people, and
Thank you.
I had no idea really how impactful and how incredible that truly was. So
thank you.
Yeah, keep up the amazing work.
Thank you. Same for you guys. I mean, I'm grateful for you to have this platform for us to even share it.
Yeah,
so
I think it's pretty cool that we do have this platform. I'm glad we get to use it this way. Yeah. It makes me feel good to have people like yourself share your story. And I say it all the time, like, I feel like I get the best seat in the house. I get to sit here and just hear your story.
You're allowing us to be storytellers. That's the whole power. I mean, for thousands of years, storytelling has been the whole way that we communicate, This is it. So thank you for that.
And you're such a strong communicator. And I know from seeing the arts and seeing the music, but also I didn't even think about, and it kind of opened my eyes to communicating through food. And trust me, I think about food a lot. But like in some ways, that's what you're doing, right? You're just this thing to tell you that you're giving back, or you know that you were thinking of them, right?
That's
or you
really
care.
it. And I'm Italian too, and I'm not a hugger. I don't know. It's just one of those things. I'm just not a hugger. So I usually say, well, I hugged you when I brought you those cookies. That was my hug. Or that keto quiche that I made with broccoli and cheese, that was my hug. So
Amazing.
however we connect, that's all that matters, whether it's a letter, a note, a song. I also send memes, like the most crazy memes. I'm like, this meme was my hug. You're welcome.
That's funny. That's very interesting.
And also, like, don't get bogged down with, like, media. You know what I mean? Like, when I was recovering, I was like, I'm going to watch Schitt's Creek for the second time. I'm going to watch The Office, Parks and Rec. Like, I was just trying to keep it really, really, like, simple. If I had the TV on at all. Sometimes I'd only have like a half an hour a day of just one funny episode of something. I was like, that's all I got in me, you know? So keep it all. It's all of it, right? It's nature, it's color, it's food, it's banning stuff that makes you feel crazy.
Yeah.
Right? Protecting yourself from stuff that kind of makes you get that feeling like, oh gosh, this is going in a bad direction, you know? You can feel it. You can feel it in your brain and in your body. So I just try to get away from that and gravitate toward water. For me, even if that's like a shower, I have to get over to your place and jump in a cold.
You do. Now that Dennis is gone.
Yeah, I think I have like 9 more days and I can submerge. But water, you know, get in the bathtub, take a shower, have a glass of water, go see water, park near water, look at water, put your feet in water. Water is so healing for me. I can't imagine living in a part of the country where I can't see it regularly. We're so lucky.
So lucky.
Yeah.
Easy to feel gratitude there.
Oh, for sure. I always say I'm so lucky because we have these best hospitals in Boston, but I'm like in the beaches and the lakes. I live near Oliver Mill Park in Middleborough, so I'll just literally, it's just around the corner. But if I'm coming home from crazy day doing errands, I'll park there and just stare at the mill and look at the water.
Me too.
Yeah, is that?
Yeah.
Spirit animals.
Wow. Yeah, incredible. I mean, the thing that I'm taking away, and you didn't like especially say this, but you said it like 1,000 times, is to kind of like be active in the universe, the way the universe unfolds, whether that's through baking or journaling or writing or singing or community involvement. And I think that's super cool. And I guess the question that I have for you is, what do you hope that people kind of take away, even just from like the short, like the little like cliff notes that you gave of your story today?
I think no matter how dark it is, the sun's always going to come out or the next day. You know what I mean? So you can get through it. My hashtag for the past year and a half has been just keep swimming. You got to keep swimming. You've got to keep going. And you've got to have faith in yourself that you can do it. I know you can do it. I know you can. I did it, right? So find a way to believe in yourself and remember that you're important enough to get through it, that it matters that you're here, that people need you, and that, you know, you should love yourself enough to know that you're worth getting through it. That's really important to me, because there are times when I've heard people say, and I work with a lot of students who are going through mental health challenges, and I'm always like, through music as a form of healing. And I work with a therapeutic boarding school called the Chamberlain School throughout the year. And it's like, we need you here. And it's like, well, sometimes you'll hear them say, well, why? You know, why? Does it even matter? And I'm like, yeah, because today when you walked in, you said, I've been looking forward to seeing you all week. And that compliment really lifted me up. Or you've said, I love your purple shirt, Miss Lorna. I'm like, do you know what that made me feel like? A queen. We need you here. We need this interaction. I heard you say to your friend in rehearsal, great job. Do you know what that made them feel like? So for you to say, what difference does my life make? Like, it makes all the difference in the world. So remembering your worth is a sentence that everyone throws around. Know your worth, know your worth, know your worth. But I really mean that. You know, at the end of the day, you got to know that your life matters, and that being here matters, and that there's a reason why we're here, and then trying to figure out how we can honor that by making healthy choices for our body, by making healthy choices for what's being absorbed into our brain, by making healthy choices with the people whose company we keep, the music that we listen to, the stations that we have on in our car, on our TV, on our phone. Whether you just take a walk outside and pick up a beautifully colored leaf or an acorn and bring it back and stick it on your windowsill and say to yourself, I got outside today, I felt the sun, I felt the breeze, I felt the air, I felt my heart moving as I was using the body that I have, that I am privileged enough to be in, and today mattered. Tomorrow's going to matter. And if you need a visual, go out and pick up a pebble, pick up a rock, pick up a leaf. My whole house is covered with turkey feathers right now. My family and I go outside and we pick up turkey feathers and I put them in plants and in floral arrangements and in mason jars and on my windowsill. I've got one right now on my dashboard. And it's like, it's a little reminder that we're connected to nature, we're connected to the universe, and that we have purpose.
Amazing.
Wow. Well, I am so glad that you came here today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
And it's the week of Thanksgiving. We're going into Thanksgiving. We have so much to be thankful for.
What a perfect segue to Thanksgiving. Because I know that sometimes people really pretend like, or they don't really feel like Thanksgiving is a time to be thankful.
Right.
You get bogged down in stress, or like, got to make this, got to do that.
Yeah, yeah, you're right.
I'm incredibly grateful for you.
I'm grateful for you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, likewise. No, it's been so great, and I appreciate you sharing your story as always, and the messages. I mean, it's so powerful. I guess the last thing I have for you is, do you have any place you want to plug right now?
Oh, wow, thank you. So it's our 30th anniversary at the Birtwood School of Performing Arts. Why did you name it that? I grew up, again, rich on love and lean on funds. I got a full scholarship to the Boston Conservatory from Louisa Birtwood. Paid for my entire education, so I named the school after her when I graduated and opened it up in 1995. We have programming for all ages, not just kids. We have a lot of stroke patients, adults, who are working with piano to stimulate the right and left side of the brain on their rehab. We want to see all of you. We help people get ready for their Father of the Bride speech and their best man speech. We do all that stuff. It's not just for kids. And then on the same complex, we have something called the Alley Theater, which has concerts and mediums and authors and plays all year. And check us out at Sip and Stroll. It's a trademarked event that we have that we're really proud of, and it helps our scholarship because the vendors pay a booth fee, and we collect all of that, and we have 40% of our program, the kids are there on scholarship.
And we'll have your social media down here at the bottom,
cool.
So they'll be able to see it.
Yep, we're all over the place.
Just let us know which one or ones you want us to put out there for you.
Yeah, sure. We're at Instagram, Facebook, TikTok.
Awesome.
We're at all the places. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Great. Yeah, no, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Awesome. Well, we'll catch you guys next time.
Thank you.
Thanks.